Welcome to For the Sake of Heaviness. My name is Butch.
I'm Mercyful Mike Smith.
And we had such a good time doing our top 20 of the year that we invited some friends of ours to give us their top fives. It's our show, so we get 20, but they get five
Yeah, yeah,
each.
we can do what we want. It's our rules, so we say they get five.
If they do a great job this year, maybe we'll give them 10.
Yeah, it all depends. We'll invite them back next year and we'll up it a little bit. So,
That's right. Who do we have on deck, Mike?
we've
Tell the
got
people, tell the lovely people.
we've got four of our good friends that we invited. Let us know what they were listening to this year. Their top five. We've got Kevin Latchaw, the drummer from Argus. We've got Darren McCloskey, the drummer from Mythosphere. We've got my good friend, and Butch knows him as well as Mark the Beard McQueen from the Mighty Decibel podcast. He'll be joining us with his top five. And we've also got the drummer from Racing to Red Lights. He goes by Ian Smith. He's got his top five as well. So without further ado, Butch, what do you say we just hand the show over to our guests?
Outstanding. Let's check them out.
Here we go.
Hey everybody, it's Kevin from Argus. Butch had asked me to put together my top albums for 2024 for his For the Sake of Heaviness podcast. So here we go. I don't like rules, so I'm going to do an honorable mention for an EP. Axioma Live Totality, great heavy ass band out of Cleveland. So check them out. Number 5, Alcest. For the sake of my French friends, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the name of the album. It's really great. If you like Alcest, you'll love it. And so 4, Paul Bearer, Mind Burns Alive. Super doomy. I love that band. So number 3, Tribulation, Sub Rosa and Internum. I didn't really like this band when they first came out. Every album has impressed me more and more. The new stuff is incredible. Saw them live recently, and they're an amazing live band. If you get a chance, go out and see them. Check out this album. Number 2, should be surprised to no one that knows me. 40 Watt Sun, Little Weight. I'm a huge Warning fan. I love Patrick's voice, and this is everything that I'd expect out of this band. I love them. I hope they come back stateside so I can see them again. And number 1, Opeth, Last Will and Testament. They bring back the death metal. Still got that 70s prog stuff that I absolutely love. To me, it's the perfect culmination of everything they've been doing over the last 10 to 15 years. Got a little bit of a cynic vibe, which is amazing. Their new drummer is absolutely killer. So that's it. Enjoy.
Hey guys, it's Darren McCluskey here with my top 5 of 2024. A lot of good stuff came out 2024. I didn't realize until I actually sat down and looked at everything that I bought, and I'm like, oh wow, yeah, there was that. And got stuff from like High on Fire, Necrot, Orange Goblin, what else? Gates of Slumber, great stuff. But my top 5 is basically some of the older bands that have released new material this past year, which is really pretty cool. I felt it was appropriate to embrace and appreciate this stuff. I mean, who knows? Some of these guys may not be here next year. So great albums, too. Not just like treading water or just going through the motions. Some really good stuff by older bands and older artists. So coming in at number 5 for me, Ace Frehley, 10,000 Volts. Now, this is Ace Frehley. I mean, he's not reinventing the wheel. This is not anything profound, but it's good rock and roll. It's Ace's voice. I mean, I just love Ace's voice. He is who he is, and he has a certain personality that just blends so well with his music. Love his guitar playing, his riffs. The melodies on this are really good. It's just a fun record, and I've listened to it pretty frequently, actually. The first time I was sort of like a lot of Ace Frehley records, I get them, I listen to them, and I have to like kind of take pause. I'm like, what was that? I mean, is it, is that actually any good? But the songs get stuck in my head, and the next day I'm like walking around and I'm singing it in my head. So, and this one was definitely one of those records. There's a lot of songs on here that stuck in my head, and I love this record. So I'm really glad that Ace is still with us, still making music. So number 5, Ace Frehley, 10,000 Volts. Next I have Saxon, band that I've been a pretty big fan of since 1983. I've always loved Saxon. They've been on a great run for the past 25 years or so. Just album after album has just been killer. Biff Byford still sounds incredible. The band has had a few lineup changes over the years, but I mean they sound great. And this record in particular is pretty significant because unfortunately Paul Quinn, an original founding member, had to step down, but Brian Tatler from Diamond Head replaced him, which is pretty amazing. And it sounds great. It's like a combination of Saxon and Diamond Head, two huge bands from the new wave of British heavy metal era, in one band and putting out new music in 2024. You can't beat that. So this is number 4 for me. Number 3 for me is a new one from Judas Priest. I really like it. I've heard mixed reviews, and I've seen people kind of dog this record out, which is kind of surprising to me. I think it's a solid record. I really like Firepower. I thought that was a strong record, and I thought it would be hard for them to top that. I think Invincible Shield, in my opinion, I think they topped it. I think it's just consistently heavy, great riffs, it's great energy. They sound inspired. Rob Halford, his voice, I mean, I don't know how old he is. I guess he's like 70 something. He's got to be up there. Sounds incredible. He sounds like he did 20 or 30 years ago. Richie Faulkner, great asset to the band. We don't have KK Downing anymore. Glenn Tipton, which is like if you'd have asked me 30 years ago if I thought that it was possible for there to be a Judas Priest without those two guys, those two guitar players, I would have said no. But they're making it work. And Richie Faulkner, man, he's a powerhouse. He's a great guitar player. The songs are solid, and I really like this album a lot. So that's number 3. Number 2, got to give it up for Black Country Communion, their 5th studio album. Glenn Hughes, another one like Rob Halford. I don't know how old he is. He's got to be. Well, he's old. Definitely, he's got to be older than Rob Halford. I mean, but Glenn Hughes has been around for a long time. Of course, he's been in Deep Purple, Trapeze. An amazing voice. He still sounds great. Still sounds amazing. The band as a whole is great. Joe Bonamassa is primarily a blues guitar player, but heavily influenced by bands like Free, Mountain, stuff like that, and Zeppelin. So he channels that into this format, which is basically like a classic heavy rock band. Their songs have always been really strong, great melodies. I love the production on these records too, like really full drum sound. Jason Bonham plays drums, son of John Bonham, and he has a lot of his father's spirit in him. Real heavy drum sound comes across really well on this album. Songs are great melodies, great riffs. Yeah, so number 2 for me, Black Country Communion, 5. Number 1, man, this one just absolutely blew me away. Always been a fan of Deep Purple. They're my second favorite band after Black Sabbath, Deep Purple. Got into them around 1980, and I've been a fan ever since. I bought every release as it came out. Some for the better, some not so much. The last album was really good, Whoosh, but it kind of sounded like they were sort of tapering off a little bit, kind of like, settling a little bit, maturing. This one sounds to me like it's a return to 1971. Great guitar playing, great energy. Ian Gillan sounds phenomenal, even though he's like 78 or something. I don't hold me to these ages. I'm just guessing, but he's up there. He sounds great. I mean, he's not singing, he's not wailing like he did on Child in Time or even with Sabbath on Born Again, but he's got a really good control of his voice. Great lyrics. He's always written great lyrics. There's some amazing lyrics on this. It's a very confident album. It's got a great energy. It's a little aggressive at certain points. Great Don Airey, man. How do you replace John Lord? It's always an impossible task, but Don Airey came in and just filled his shoes perfectly. Of course, you can't replace John Lord. He's a legend, but Don Arias just done such a phenomenal job. There's a lot of great trademark keyboard, legacy keyboard, Deep Purple sounds, and as well as like some interesting things that Don Arias throwing in there. The band as a whole is really tight. They're really well integrated. It's a very inspired album. It isn't a band that's been around for like since the 70s that's just kind of going through the motions trying to make a buck. This is an album that sounds really inspired. And new guitar player Simon McBride, I got to mention him, filling in for Steve Morse, who filled in for Ritchie Blackmore. Of course, Ritchie Blackmore is the quintessential Deep Purple guitar player. Steve Morse is a phenomenal guitar player, and he had a great tenure with the band. I really liked his playing. So when they got this new guy, Simon McBride, I hadn't heard of him. I was a little bit, skeptical. I'm like, wow. I mean, but you gotta trust Purple. You gotta trust these guys. I mean, they've been in the business for a long time. They're not gonna pick a slouch. So they made a good choice with Simon McBride. I've seen them with Simon McBride now twice. Both times he blew me away. He's a powerhouse. I think he's given the band a real kick in the ass. And this album equals one with Deep Purple, my number one. 2024. If you don't have this, get it. It's awesome. You'll love it. Trust me. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. For the sake of heaviness, awesome show. Keep up the great work. See ya.
Well, hello, friends, fans, and followers. For those who know who I am or who may have seen me or read my material on themightydecibel.com, where I have a concert review show. Or perhaps you've seen some of my TikTok videos at thebeard0728, where I have several hundred videos covering all the concerts that I have reviewed over the years. I have been doing the concert review thing for about a decade, but the last couple of years full-time since I retired from my government job. And I've covered over 500 bands the last 2 years. It's a good gig. If you can afford to do it in retirement, it's a good gig. I've enjoyed it, and I'm fortunate here to have been asked by a man I've known for, again, about 12 years. I refer to him as the Great One, Mike Smith, and he said he'd like me to submit my 5 favorite metal albums of this year, and that was a complicated task for me because nothing like that is very easy to fine-tune down. The selections I chose are often tied to bands I've covered this year, because that way I've been able to see some of their material live performed to go along with the studio releases, and that gave it more depth to me. I also like what I like, so these aren't going to be chosen out of technical superiority or record sales or anything like that. So here we go. In the number 5 position, I've got the new Zeal and Ardor release, Grief. This is a departure from what they've been doing. They've added more alternative and classic rock and even a little funk in there, as opposed to simply the black metal meets spirituals that they were doing in the early material. Time will tell whether this is going to increase their listenership or detract from it, but I applaud the inventiveness and the willingness not to just simply rehash the same thing over and over again. They're expanding and they're giving it a shot. It'll either work and they'll sell more, or it won't work and they'll sell less. That's the way it goes. In the 4th position, with their 14th album, is Opeth and Last Will and Testament. Opeth, again, the first time I ever seen them, and that was before they even made it big. They were like 3rd band in a 5-band bill. And I went, wow, this is heavy metal meets Pink Floyd. And they've continued to expand on that. They've been all over the place. This year I did get to see them in concert, and I think they covered 10 different albums in their set list, which is a really good career retrospective. And they do a lot of different styles mixing that prog material. This current one, Last Will and Testament, I like it lyrically. They always put a lot of effort into the lyrics, and they have added the death growls back, which is really kind of something you need with Opeth. Too much clean doesn't work with them, and I think they're better when they mix those styles together like that. In the number 3 position, in a kind of a return to form, is Exhorder. And Exhorder's kind of two bands. You know, in the 90s, they released 2 albums with the original group, and now with just the singer and the new guys that he's put back into the band since they reformed in 2017. This is their 2nd album with Defectum Omnium. I think it's a nice merger of the old school 90s thrash, which they just came out at the wrong time because grunge was just sweeping the world, and if you weren't grunge, you weren't anything. So they kind of got swept away, even though Slaughter in the Vatican was a fantastic album. I'm glad to see them back. I enjoyed seeing them live at Randy Kastner's Blaze of Steel Fest this year. And as soon as they started playing a couple of the songs from the new release, I was right over to merch buying it. It's a nice merger of today's world mixed with that old school thrash, and really was a winner for me. In the number 2 position, again with their 6th album, but I have to, with all those concerts I've done, I have to plead ignorance because I've never seen them before, was Unleash the Archers. And again, I was lucky enough to attend another fest, Chicago's Legions of Metal Fest, run by a great promoter, Bob Burns. That was one of the best small fests of the year for me. They have a lot of different styles, and they don't charge a lot. It's a good bang for your buck, and Bob works hard at getting a lot of different newer and older bands together. Now, Unleash the Archers is an older band because they have released 6 albums. I had never seen them, but it didn't take more than 1 or 2 numbers of listening to Britney Slay's hit those stratospheric notes, and then you combine that dueling guitar work, and again, right to the merch table, and yeah, give me your new one. I need to hear that. Really good music, and I think I'll be following them yearly as they tour in the general area. Finally, number 1 is a longtime favorite of mine, and that is Paul Bearer with Mine Burns Alive. I have liked Paul Bearer ever since they came out with the first album. I think they are one of the best in the world at what they do. They have that melancholy music and vocal sound, and I think they are like the ultimate emo band if it had balls. I think every emo band would want to be that emotional yet that powerful at the same time. Paul Bearer, really, every time I see them, I am blown away by what they do. They're just really, really, really good at it. So that album just continued something I already loved with another release that I loved again. So, all right, I don't want to take up a ton of time. That wraps up my 5 favorites. And as I said, you can find me on Old Geezer social media, Facebook, under the name Mark McQueen, friend or follow. Love to get new people. Tune into the Mighty Decibel at mightydecibel.com to read my weekly reviews. Check out the TikTok page at thebeard0728. Hundreds of videos to check out there. And I hope to see or hear from you. And thank you, Mike Smith. And thank you for putting me on here to let me basically blab for several minutes. Horns up.
Hi, I am Ian, and I'm in the band Racing to Red Lights, and I am the drummer. And this will be my top 5 albums of 2024. And starting off with number 5 is Opeth. I am super happy that they're going back to their original roots and just stoked for the death growl to be back. And off to my number 4, it will be Ace Frehley. I am just so happy that he's still producing music after he's done with Kiss. And Cherry Medicine hit me hard when this one came on. I'm just so happy for him. Going off to number 3 is Saxon. I was supposed to see them live, but I had a band concert to go to. So my old man went instead. And this whole album is just amazing. And I'm really happy that they're still together and still producing music and playing live. And then going off to my number 2 is Judas Priest, Invincible Shield. This whole album is great, and I am amazed that Rob can still hit those high notes after being in his 70s. And there's not a bad word I can say about this album. And then going off to my last and top number 1 is Powerwolf. I got to see them live when they were in the States, and this whole album is nothing but greatness. It is just perfectly, like, musically, like, produced, and everything about it. All of the songs, like, what? We Don't Want No Saints, that song's awesome. And that is my top 5 of 2024.
All right, outstanding top fives from our 4 special guests today. We'd like to thank them for joining us on For the Sake of Heaviness. And I'm going to surprise Butch a little bit here. We've got a lot of really cool stuff to look forward to in 2025, but just today I found out probably one of the coolest, most kick-ass things that's going to happen next year, and that is the return of the mighty Argus. Butch, would you like to give us just a quick rundown on how that came about and what to expect next year?
Yeah, well, we,
For
you
those of
know,
you that don't already know, Butch is the lead singer for Argus, and
for
he
better or for worse, yeah.
rules, man.
Well, I mean, anyone knows this knows that we're all still friends. Argus just kind of not fell victim to, but just with COVID, and we're kind of spread out in Western Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Jay's up in Erie. Kevin's about an hour 15 from here, maybe a little closer now. Andy's in the Pittsburgh area, but Dave travels, does sound for the WWE. So he travels all over the world, Saudi Arabia, England, Germany. He's all over the place. And in addition, is traveling constantly. So it's just things for whatever reason. We did a show back in 2020, and then COVID hit immediately. We were over in Germany when the whole thing hit the fan. We talked about that in our interview with the Gates of Slumber. Check it out. And we've been friends since. We just haven't had a chance to. It's tough to get together and do things. With us, with the schedules. Andy's in the Great Lady Beast and Legendary. Kevin's got a family. He has he has a daughter that was born since that last show in 2020. So it's just been a busy time for everyone, and it's not like we didn't want to do things. We just didn't do anything. And Opeth was playing a couple months ago, and we had just messaged, and it just happened to be that a lot, I know Kevin, Jay, and I were planning on going to the show, and that we heard from Dave, and it turned into, well, let's get together beforehand and
That's cool.
have some lunch and go to the show. And Andy met up with us, and Andy was going to meet up with us, and then Dave rented a rehearsal room in the area.
Wow.
So let's just get together and jam for a couple hours. So we went to a rehearsal room here in Pittsburgh and just bashed it out for, just played the stuff that we used to play. Just had a lot of fun doing it, just being in the same room with each other, like turning it up. And
That's outstanding. Felt
it
good,
was cool
right?
to flex. I hadn't sung in a while. So it was good to flex the pipes again. And we played, it was fun. We would just step right back into it. Everyone played really well. And I think we talked about it a little bit, and everyone was kind of like open to the idea of maybe doing a show sometime down the road. So I'd contacted the guys at Stormbringer,
Yeah.
and said, would you be interested at all in having Argus? I'd seen that they were about gonna start announcing bands, and that the festival's coming back, and
Yeah.
I just wrote them and they wrote, said, we love Argus. And we worked it out with them. The guy, everyone in the band's like, yeah, let's do it. And then, we'll go from there. So at this point, it's just this one show. We talked about doing music, but we'll see what happens. One thing at a time. I'd
Sure.
certainly like to do another record. I feel like we have unfinished business as far as that goes. I'm proud of the records that we did. I always feel like the lineup that we had, we at the end we never got to record with, and that was with Jay, Kevin,
Yeah.
Andy, Dave, and I. Nothing against the lineups the band has had. All the lineups have been good, but
Yeah, sure.
I would have liked to have done something with those five. Um, at one time. So we'll see. We're looking forward to the show. If anyone out there is a fan, if there's something you want to hear, let us know. There's still time for us to put the set list together. Some of the usual ragers will be in there, but
That's
so it's
fantastic
cool.
news.
I mean, I'm really psyched about it. For a while I got kind of like down about music and stuff, and I thought maybe I was coming to the end of the road doing it. I'm not that old yet, but I was kind of like resigned to not doing anything for a while. And so here it is. So we'll see.
That's awesome. I know that, at some points when you and I talked and, you brought up the fact of, no, maybe this is retirement or maybe it's semi-retirement. So anyway, look at it. That was really some cool news to wake up to and see this morning. So good for you
Yeah,
guys,
thanks,
man.
man.
That's fantastic. I hope it is more than one show. So, but
Yeah, me too. We're always open. I think we're open to it as long as our schedules align. And I think we everyone plays well enough that we don't need a heck of a lot of lead time.
right.
If we would do another record, that's another story. But in terms of getting together for a show, if someone wants to book Argus, we would definitely try to make it work. So
Cool.
y'all
Cool.
listening out there.
Cool. Thanks for the tidbit of info there, Butch. Like I said, it's something really cool to look forward to in 2025. So,
Yeah,
all right, everybody. Butch and I would like to really, really thank all of you who have subscribed and liked and shared and all that good stuff and helping us grow the channel. As always, we are open to suggestions. Get in contact, blow up the comments on the YouTube channel. We're on Facebook now. Hit us up. We want to
like
do
and
anything you want.
subscribe.
Absolutely. It's a channel for all of us. We like to do whatever we can that's within the realm of heaviness, and like we said before, that's wide open.
Yeah, heck yeah. Let's hear
All
what you guys want, and let's keep going. Let's have a great, enjoy the rest of your years, and let's look forward to 2025. We got a lot of cool stuff in store.
Yes, we do.
So
All right. Well, a very happy new year to everybody, and we will see you next year on the next episode of
for
For
the
the
sake
Sake of
of happiness.
Heaviness.